Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, how many half Targaryens are there in Westeros? Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing HBO's Game of Thrones' House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 5, Regent. All right, so this was directed by Claire Kilner, who did a great job. Ty Mickle wrote this episode, a little bit of a step away for Ryan Condal for some reason, and it premiered yesterday, July 14. And my favorite parts of this episode have to be Daemon slowly descending to madness and just sadness. This guy cannot catch a break. He's doing everything he can to become king and raise an army in the Riverlands, and it's just not working out for him. Like, no matter what, he just can't seem to get the numbers that he needs. Ultimately, I mean, he kind of has to, I think, at some point, but for now, just watching him go week after week of desperately trying to bolster up Team Black's forces and failing at every turn, it's got to be despairing. And the worst part about it is what we saw him say in this episode when he's sitting down and the guy next to him is like, well, why don't you just burn them? You know, they asked to be burned. He's like, I don't want to kill them. That's the kind of soldier I need. I need to endear them to my cause, not burn them alive. I need soldiers. I don't need corpses. I just thought that was such a brilliant way of looking at it, because I never really see Daemon as that sort of calculating, considerate leader. I see him as an individual who overreacts or reacts through aggression, not necessarily the strength of perception and consideration. That's more Rhaenyra's department. And I think another interesting part about this episode is that we now have confirmation from Daemon's perspective, and it was alluded to already, so it's not like it came out of nowhere, but he straight up is saying, no, I'm king. I'm going to be the king. I may let her sit next to me if she wants to, you know, in the seat next to the Iron Throne, but that's my house. I'm going to take that role. And everyone who speaks to him, he is constantly correcting, like, no, king. They're like, King Regent. Well, that last part seems a little unnecessary, doesn't it? And yeah, to his perspective, it absolutely does. At some point, he is going to have to either come to terms with the fact that he's not getting the soldiers he needs, and so he cannot be the king if he does not have the power, or he needs to just go crazy. So basically just shit or get off the pot. He needs to talk to Rhaenyra and say, look, I don't care if they put you as the king or the next ruler. I am going to take that throne because I deserve it, because I had a fever dream about my mama. And let's just talk about that really quick, because that was a choice. That was a pretty big choice. Having a dream, I mean, not a choice on his part, but a choice on the writer's part, about him just banging his mom, and ultimately it coming down to him having some sort of self-fulfilling confirmation that he should, in fact, yes, be the king. He would be a better leader. He would be a better ruler. And that is somehow proven out because he's fucking his mom. It's just, these Targaryens, what the hell, man? What the hell? I don't even know if she was alive in that sort of age range when she died, or like, I don't know how she died particularly, but you're seeing like him at his age, her at her age. It's like, yeah, she's a pretty attractive woman, but it's his mom. Come on. Have some level of decency is all I'm saying. Like, if you got to do it with your sister, I don't approve of it, but that's what you've been doing. This is a step a little further than that. I can't get behind it. All right. But she's a very attractive woman, so I can see the attraction, you know, the desire, the carnal lust there. I get that. So let's just sort of talk about the episode here. We start with Kristen Cole returning to King's Landing with Meleys's head on this massive wagon, and he's like carting it around. What he's expecting he's going to get are people like throwing confetti in the air and like cheering, you know, doing like, yes, you did a great job. You killed a dragon. Woo! And Ryan Condal, the showrunner, had said after the show episode aired that like the people loved Mellies. Like they saw the dragon flying over the skies. They saw it as a semblance of safety and consistency with the monarchy. And so when they see the head, they suddenly realize there's no safety anymore. And there's also the other side of it. You know, they've always sort of purported that there is this war going on. But in King's Landing, you don't see it. You see the suffering of people on the individual level, but you don't have a dragon burning using fire to burn out the town, Old Town, or just murdering all of the residents. Now that you have a head cut off, what's to stop open warfare affecting the little people, the regular citizens of Westeros? That becomes a genuine, real fear at that point. There's no one to protect anymore because Vhagar is seemingly, I don't know how much the little folk, as they're referred to, I don't know how much they actually know about the dragons, to them. And there's this really wonderful moment in this. They're like, I thought they were gods. How could they die? Like suddenly dragons are mortal. And so not only are you deconstructing a sense of safety and comfort on behalf of your citizens, but now you're actually showing them that the Targaryens are not gods. The dragons are not godly entities. They're mortal. They're just big beasts. And if that's true, then anyone could kill a dragon. And if anyone can kill a dragon, why the hell are we going to bow down to this kingdom? Why should we bow down to the High Towers or to the Targaryens, whomever happens to be sitting on the throne? You're destabilizing your power structure from beneath yourself. You're literally standing on the same carpet that you're ripping out from under yourself. But that is the ignorance of Criston Cole. He's a moron. He did not earn this position. He was given it by a fearful king. He does not understand reaching out to the people. All he knows is sticking his fingers in the cherry pie of those in command. Literally. Hey, Chris. Was Sigmund Freud the ghostwriter? Yeah, I think definitely. It certainly seems like it. So Criston Cole's screwed, and then all of a sudden he gets back to the castle, and Alicent's like, so, what the F happened, dude? And he's like, here's the king. I got to drop a deuce. You understand. And he just pops smoke and gets out. He doesn't want to tell her what happened, that her son killed her other son. He's suddenly going to be put in a position in order to put Aemond on the throne, and he doesn't want to then throw him under the bus first. So he has to just shut his mouth, get the fuck out of Dodge, and let shit just sort of transpire as everyone has planned. And then we've got Aegon, who miraculously survives this. How? He had to have traveled weeks to go from Rook's Rest all the way back home. Meanwhile, his metal armor is seared to his skin. He has third-degree burns all over him, and he survived that trip? I don't think they really appreciated the duration it takes to go by wagon anywhere in Westeros, because it's always we cut to the next scene and everyone's already there. But no, that's a really long time of traveling the roads. And you hope that the armies haven't destroyed any of the roads or bridges between here and there. And so you're just sort of, it's wildly unrealistic that he's living. That's my point. Aegon should be dead. But he's miraculously survived so far. I don't think he has long left, to be quite honest. This dude is on his last leg. But just watching it peel off, and you're seeing the sort of the goo sucking off of the armor as they're peeling it off. There's no normally you have vestments or cloth between your skin and armor, and that's to protect your skin, right? That's gone. That was burned away. The armor didn't melt because it's special Valyrian steel. And so that is clearly resistant. But sweet hell, not his skin, not at all. Couldn't they just explain that people of the dragons are still gods because they can only be killed by another dragon? I guess, but that would require like having a conversation, and that's not really the way that the High Towers rule. These Targaryens, they just rule by dictate. So, for example, when we do finally get the small council electing Aemond against the will of Alicent, his first order of business is to close the gates, stopping anyone from getting out. That means all of the small folk who are currently starving to death because there's no food are now stuck in this hellhole to just like murder each other and fight over scraps. That's the way of ruling that they have. If they were intelligent, then yeah, they would have had conversations, but then they wouldn't have gone to war in the first place if they were intelligent. So they all deserve exactly what they're going to get, and they are going to get it. So Kristen withholds telling what happened to Alicent, but then the small council elects Aemond. I love Alicent's whole argument. Like, this guy is unstable. He's just a kid. Her son. She raised him. I should be the one in charge. But then you have to like sort of do a double take because you're like, but that's why we're at war, so that we don't have a woman in charge. You remember that part of it, right, Alicent? You thought that your son, a man, should be on the throne, not a woman, your cousin by marriage in Rhaenyra. The whole war is about having a man on the throne and not a woman. So you don't get to, at this point, decide that, well, that's not as important at this point. I just want to seize power. No. You made your fucking bed. You sleep your dumbass in it, Alicent. And she deserves every piece of pain that she has coming to her because this is all her fault. 100% her fault. All right, so, and the only person that is showing any restraint is Rhaenyra. She's the only one that is not actively trying to figure out how to murder someone. She's trying to rule through peace. She's trying to figure out a way to peacefully get back on the throne like she's supposed to be, as per her father, the late king's wishes. Aemond orders the gates to be shut, preventing Hugh Hammer and his family from getting out of the town and every other person. Jane Eyre, this was a really interesting little scene that we got, because as much as most people are fearful of dragons, the Aarons up at the Eyrie, she's protected by the territory, the land that she exists on. Her castle's like way up in the air. It's almost impossible to invade. You have to go through these narrow canyons to even get to the road to get up there. And so she's like, look, I'll be on your guys' side, but I need a dragon. And so they send a young dragon, and she's like all pissed. She's like, no, I wanted a big dragon. Well, guess what, you whiny brat? You don't get a big dragon. You get this dragon, and you can be happy about it, or you can just, I don't know, go... I don't even know what a saying is that would make sense. Mash your teeth, I guess. I don't know. It's not really a saying. But like, there's like no reason why she should care if the dragon is big or not. She's in a perfectly defensible castle. Any dragon that can breathe fire will do everything to stop any potential invasion. And she's so far away from any actions that there's nothing that's going to threaten her. This is just a power play on her part. And then ultimately she sort of threatens the young woman who is doing her best diplomatic acting ever. And I think she did a wonderful job. I really, really love the actors in this show. I mean, they're all just top-notch, really wonderful actors. Jace ends up talking with his mother, like, look, I can get the phrase. And the last time we saw the phrase was with the original Game of Thrones, and it was the Red Wedding. And oh my gosh, was that a brutal, not as good as the books. In the books, the mom comes back as like this sort of like almost zombie type character and unleashes her vengeance. But like Walder Frey, all the Freys are always like sort of weird, and they have like this weird power control over the twins. And so we see the Freys, and yeah, they're still weird. Even like, I don't know how long before, 1,000 years, 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones, like they're still super creepy, like strange looking, strange acting. And really they're just like, look, we just need power. So, we'll bend the knee, but we need something in return. And he's like, well, what the hell do you want? Harrenhal. You want Harrenhal. And they're like, bingo. So he promises them Harrenhal, not even knowing if he can actually deliver it. But that's less important because if they're king, then they can. And so if they control the twins, then any force has to go all the way around the Riverlands. And they can't go straight over the quick way to get to King's Landing. Or vice versa. That's huge. That saves them so much time and protection and time to plan proper war strategies if they have control of the twins. So it was really important that they get the phrase to go along with it, and they did, which is brilliant. Jace is proving to be a valuable asset to Rhaenyra, her son, who is ultimately the future king. Unless... It's a tough argument that you deserving of the crown when you aren't capable of raising your son correctly. Yeah, for real. Like, look at any of these kids. The only kids that are good are the Team Black, the actual Targaryen kids. All of the Hightower Targaryen kids are monsters. Like, every one. So you're just like, well, clearly, like, I can't imagine anyone being Team Hightower. I know there has to be people out there. They're just like, no, let's have the Hightowers take it over. But I just can't understand why anyone could or would. It makes like zero logical sense. So Mysaria is still sort of suggesting ideas to Rhaenyra, which is very, very interesting. Rhaenyra was initially really against Mysaria because her husband, was like sort of stooping her. And then... she sort of was working, she wasn't overtly working against them, but she wasn't working for them. Now she's working for them. And to see this sort of power couple of these two incredibly empowered women in a time of war that is literally over, men should be ruling, is a refreshing sort of, it's like a zest of lemon or something. You're just like, oh, that's nice. I actually really appreciate that. I like it when women take their destinies in their own hands and not just like kowtow to whomever it may be. And I love that Mysaria and Rhaenyra are working together. So they send a maid to King's Landing to act as a spy, which is dope. But we got Larry Strong over there. So I think Larry Strong is a really good spy. Master of Whispers. I think he's probably going to find that spy. But let's see. And the last thing is when Jace comes back home and they're sitting here talking like, Rhaenyra is saying, I have to go out and fight with my dragon. There has to be an answer to Meleys being destroyed because Vhagar is a constant threat. As long as Vhagar's in the picture, we will never win this war with the dragons that we have. We need more dragons. And Jace is like, Mom, there are 2 gigantic dragons below us right now. And she's like, son, they don't have riders. And they're just like, how can we resolve this problem? There's a lot of blood being intermixed with a lot of different these houses. That was how originally their Targaryens were able to secure their foothold, not just by dragon, but by intermarriage, to bring loyalty to the houses. And we already had some of the Targaryen guy teased in the last episode going into a bar saying, yeah, my father was King Viserys and I'm sort of a bastard, and they sort of bring it out there. So now we got the idea of, okay, well, let's get some half Targaryens, still with that Targaryen blood, so that the dragons will accept them. I wonder how many they're going to have to go through to find out the right one. Like, how many people are going to have to stand in front of those dragons and just get burned or eaten? But whatever the number, for their perspective, it's worth it because they need dragon riders. Now, I don't know how far down the road they're thinking at this point, but you get rival houses or rival dragon riders that have loyal dragons to them that are not full Targaryen, and they do not fully accept you as their king. They'll work with you right now, but as later on, they might change alliances. And now they have a dragon. Like, you have to really know the person that you are putting in that position and really trust them that in the long game, they're going to be on your side. Because if not, woof, you are screwing yourself right now, just by even thinking about this. It's a really, really big thing. You haven't read the books. You were curious if they alluded approximately to how many dragons there are in the world. Yeah, I think they said there's like 7 right now. on the black side. I think there was like 3 on the green side or something like that. I'm guessing at this point, but I think it's like under 12 dragons or something like that out there. There are some rogue dragons that have not been like caught, and they're just sort of like wandering because they don't have riders. But it's pretty bad because it doesn't matter how many young dragons you have a Vhagar on the High Tower side. And that's the oldest dragon. That is the dragon that conquered Westeros with Aegon the Conqueror. That is the big bad of everything. And as long as he's out there, you have to have some other ones like Rhaenyra's dragon and the 2 that are underneath Dragonstone right now. You have to have at least 3 in order to really bring Vhagar down. Now, Meleys, she got Vhagar, but I feel like, I don't know if he was just playing with her or it was just like, she wasn't prepared for that final assault, and that's why he was able to kill Meleys. But it was close because Meleys was one of the oldest dragons next to Vhagar. So it really puts it, and that's why in the Game of Thrones, they're like, they have that huge skull in the basement, in the catacombs, but they're like, by the end of the Targaryen dynasty, most dragons were not bigger than the size of a dog because they just did not have the time to grow. Because of this dragon war that we're dealing with right now. All the big dragons are going to die. So it's just a matter of how and when and what can be accomplished before that point that we really need to be worried about. Because that's going to tell you who ends up on the throne by who has the dragons. So they're now going to be looking through the archives of ancestry and genealogy to try to find the most powerful Targaryen bloodline non-Targaryens out there to bring them over and try to just like put them in front of the dragon. Like, okay, let's see what happens. But it'll work. If they can do it, it will work. And they can take down Vhagar. When it comes to episodes like this, in comparison to episodes like the previous, where it's just like action and battle and travesty. Sorry, I feel like I have something in my mouth. I know some people can sort of get bummed that they're just talking in strategy and planning and dream sequences, and there's not like action. I need action. For me, a story like this is exactly what I want. I want considered thought going into the later actions, which are then going to be dramatic and, sort of nail-biting action scenes. But I want these scenes so that these are the types of performances where you learn the characters, where you become endeared to them, where you genuinely care whether or not they live and die. If it's just action sequence after action sequence, well, then who cares who dies? Let's just see dragons breathe fire and that's all you want. That's not what this show is. That's not what George R.R. Martin does. And that's certainly not how they're portraying Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon on the big screen. And I'm glad. I'm glad they're doing it this way because this is an adult series dealing with adult situations with adult consideration. That's more than you can say about our own politics. And so I genuinely appreciate it. I love it. I'm an adult. I have adult sensibilities. Let's go there. Because yes, it's going to be just as traumatic and just as action-filled, but you're going to have to wait a little bit. Now look, we're at episode 5. I think there's only like 8 episodes of this. Let me double check really quick. And if there's only 8 episodes, we've already passed that hump. We have 3 more episodes. Yeah, this is brutal. So the penultimate episode is going to be massive. That's 1 episode away. So this next week's is going to be the one right before that. Then we're going to get the penultimate, and then we're going to get the finale. And I mean, I'm hoping we're going to get another season and another season after that. And the way that it's being received certainly seems like we will. I can't wait. You give us these really great slow build character development, environmental situational development type stories, and then you're just going to hit us right in the face with some crazy shit. Yes, I am here for it. It's no shock. I don't even know why I need to show it. 5 Evil Eyes out of 5 Evil Eyes, of course, because it's brilliant. I do want to sort of go over my most favorite part of this scene, of this episode. It's got to be the Daemon stuff. I really like how he is slowly sort of becoming more insane, but that's actually making him more considerate, which is weird. It doesn't make sense, but that's Sir Damon's character. And I love Rhaenyra's genuine desire for a peaceful transition of power, but knowing it cannot happen. And so she is actually thinking, and she's using her son as a counselor. Oh yeah. And her counselor that is constantly condescending to her. Oh, you're the weaker sex. You're the more delicate sex. Leave the war fighting to men. And she's like, you've never been in combat, dude. Who the hell are you? And so she sends him off to Daemon to sort of find out what the hell he's doing over in Harrenhal all this time when there should be an army, which is basically a death sentence. I mean, he's going to get there and who knows what Daemon's going to do, because he's going to be seen as a spy for Rhaenyra, his wife. And he doesn't want his wife to be the new ruler. He is. So I think that's going to be interesting. And even if he is murdered on that route, Rhaenyra didn't like him anyway. He was a dick. So it's okay. It's kind of okay. So I think the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon and their character developments are the best part of this episode. I think the my least favorite part of this episode is probably the Eyrie. Every time we've ever gone to the Eyrie, it's always just like weird and gross and just horrible. It's never been a good welcome, I mean, it's very much similar to the twins with the phrase, but I don't know. Like, I hate the Eyrie. I like the structure. I like the concept of it. I like the defensibility, but the people, they all suck. They're the weirdest, freakest, whiniest, most insane people ever. Constantly. They drive me nuts. So that's my least. And it's not even a negative on the show because that's what they're supposed to be. So it's like my least favorite because it's intended to be your least favorite. That's my choice. So I don't know. Maybe Kristen Cole. Maybe, you know what? F that dude. I kind of just want to bitch slap him really badly. Every time I see him on screen, I'm just like, I just want to do it. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought about this episode of House of the Dragon named Regent. We got 3 episodes left. It's got to be good, right? All right. As always, remember the evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil.